Hey guys, we are live for yoga again. I'm just going to walk you through a basic practice, maybe a little bit of sun salute, but we're going to use some props, tools. If you have a towel, blanket, a belt, maybe a tennis ball, you can see a foam roller there. Those are going to be beneficial if you have them. If not, even just a couple of blankets, we can improvise with that and be able to create something you can use. I hope you're getting good information out of the yoga classes so far, and I just wanted to go in a little more detail today. I wanted to find out where we feel tight. Where do we feel stiff? I usually feel some tightness in my upper back, in and around this area from that car accident years ago. So I'm just going to start to move my hands and arms around, see if I can open some of that up. Lots of popping and cracking, mobility there. I'm going to come down to all fours, and we're going to do cat-cow for a second, just to try to open up the spine. So on an in-breath, you're going to rock your tailbone up, lift your chin, and on an exhale, you're going to go into cat. You're tucking the chin, tucking the tailbone under, squeezing the navel towards the spine. And again. Tailbone up, chin up. Now I want you to roll just a little bit back and forward. I want you to move through the shoulder joints and through the shoulder blades. I want you to feel some movement there. I had a little bit of a cavitation in my thoracic spine because of that. I want to lean into my hands just a little bit right there. That feels good to me to put pressure into the shoulder joints. I'm going to bring my knees up so I can give myself just a little more weight right there. I'm going to bend my arms. I want to play with motion here, front to back. I'm trying to mobilize the shoulder blades, mobilize the thoracic spine. As you exhale, cat again, tailbone tucked, and into cow. Dropping the abdomen, lifting the tailbone and chin. And I'm going to come to seated so you can see this. You can stand and do this as well, but you couldn't quite see me on the phone here, so I want to be able to give a little bit of movement through my arms, shoulders, shake it out. It's rainy here today, so I feel kind of slow, like I want to take a nap, a little bit more relaxed. I want to just shake it out again, more tension on that left side usually, just shaking across the joints, and a little cavitation through that elbow joint, a little crack. Just moving this around. And head and neck, I want to get it involved, shake it, lengthen it side to side. Where do I feel tension? Both sides in this cervicothoracic junction, this same area, everybody would say, oh, my upper back and neck. This feels a little dense, a little tight to me. I'm using my right hand to just grab along the traps here and massage. I'm actually crimping that muscle there, giving me a little input into my nervous system. And I'm going to try the other side. Same thing. Doesn't feel nearly as tight on this side. Just noticing. And again, arms up. I'm going to shake them out. Move them around. Hands, wrists, elbows, shoulders. Opening all of this up. Oh, that feels good right there, right through the wrists. I'm going to go towards child's pose. I'm going to bring my bottom down towards my heels, arms forward. You can press the forehead gently into the mat. cow again. Generally, your shoulders are over the hands, shoulder width distance apart. Your knees are under the hips, hips width distance apart. Big in-breath. Drop the belly, lift the tailbone and chin. And exhale into cat. Tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone, pull the navel in towards the spine. I want to go straight into downward facing dog. I'm going to lift the legs back and I'm going to walk it out side to side, back and forth. Bending knees, finding good space in the hands and palms. You don't want this to feel like there's too much tension. You want to be able to balance equally between the hands and the feet. Relax your spine. Shake it out. Move the head and neck. Walk it out through the legs. Lift the tailbone, knees bent. Then slowly begin to straighten the legs, drop the heels. Walk it out side to side. Step both feet forward. We're going to come to a forward bend and up through plank. Or up through mountain pose, should say. Standing tall. Exhale out the mouth if you need to let go of tension. Big in-breath. Look up. And swan dive forward. Always feel that you can change the practice to alter it to your body. I'm not there to watch. So I want you to go slow. Think about it as mobility across joints. Lengthening. Stretching. Releasing tissue. Putting yourself in a position of ease to be able to let go of tension. And step the right foot back, runner's lunge. You can straighten that back leg as much as you can comfortably. You can bring the arms wide. You can bring the hands in prayer position. What works better for you? I like wide and open. Now I'm going to play with the upper body. I'm trying to hold my balance here, but I'm actually moving this guy in the arms around, trying to see what kind of range I've got. So I'm going to bring myself back up. And swan dive forward. Left foot back. Plank position. Elbows into the side. In breath and up. And slowly back to downward facing dog. Walking the legs out, side to side. You can go as lightly or as deep as feels good to you. Relax your jaw. Now, I'm going to walk the right foot forward. Runner's lunge, opposite side, 90 degrees in the front. Left leg is lengthened. You bring your arms wide if that's what you prefer. And again, what happens if I play with the upper body? Can I maintain my balance here? I'm going to turn both feet towards this wall. I'm going to pigeon toe just a little bit. Turn the toes in. I'm going to lean forward. Knees can be bent. Forearms, chest can gently rest on the thigh. Hang the head down and forward. You want to reach the arms out, up and back, feel free. What's the range on your shoulder joints? What is allowed here? What does your body let you do? Can you reach behind the back? Back and forth. front again. Mountain pose. Stand tall. Big in breath. And exhale. Down and forward. Walk it out. Left to right. Side to side. Now, drop your bottom, arms forward, sit in your seat. Chair pose, squeeze your abdomen in. Pull your shoulders, shoulder blades back. Try to sit as low as you can. Now, I want you to hold this until your thighs start to shake. If you get too tired, I just want you to fall out into a forward bend. Yeah. Got a little burn in the quads there. Now, right foot back. And this time, we're going to drop this knee down. I'm going to roll out the right foot. I'm going to see if I can find my balance on my thigh and bring my body up to open a little bit more deeply in the hips, specifically in this right hip. You can't see it right here from this camera angle. But where's your comfortable, relaxed edge? Where are you getting a pull into this hip? If you want to bring a little nuance and you feel safe enough to do this, okay, you're going to walk your hands down. What happens if you walk your hands over and start to lean to be able to access this front compartment of the hip? Oh yeah. You can put your palms down. You can lean into your hands to take some pressure off. It's a nice stretch in the front, that anterior compartment of the hip. Now, what happens if you bring yourself over? What happens if you try to lean the opposite direction lightly? Be careful, it's comfortable on your knee. I don't get quite as much activity that way. My body like the lateral. I'm going to bring the toe under. I'm going to bring myself up again. Hey. Feels very different on this hip now. Hands down, foot back, drop down, come up. And down dog. Breathe. Don't hold your breath. Try to breathe through the pose. Both heels down. Tailbone up towards the ceiling. Lifting out of the spine. Moving the head and neck, lengthening. Walk that right foot forward. And again, firm balance here. And slowly lower the left knee down. Roll out the top of the left foot. I'm going to walk my hands to the inside here. See if I can access that front compartment of the left hip. Feels very different to me. I'm much tighter on this anterior compartment in the right hip. But you're lengthening the hips, opening through the hip joint, getting some length around those. A lot of people with low back pain, tons of tension in their gluteals and in their hips. What happens if, again, I bring myself just a little bit over? Maybe it'll be different on this side. Not quite as much, a little bit there. And roll the foot under, bring yourself up. Hey, see if you can find your balance. Step forward, forward fold. And slowly come up. Arms up. Look up. And mountain pose. Mountain pose, a very wide base. Pointed top. Solid. You don't lose your balance. Can't push it over. Big in breath. Arms up. And swan dive forward. Walk it out. Left to right. Side to side. And big step back. Big step back. Straight into down dog. Now I'm going to lift this right leg. You'll notice I didn't move the left foot. I'm going to bring this up and over. If you're only down here, it's fine. Just explore. Play range of motion. Lengthening through the hips there. I'm going to bring this guy down and forward. Knee is in front of the hip. You can bend that knee as deeply as you want. Now, if I need to keep pressure, one, I can probably do that with no hands just by pressing into the ground. This is the weak point. I don't want to bend the knee too deeply at a side. So finger joints like this. You don't turn it to the side, right? Same thing happens with the knee. I can use my hands as a prop to take pressure off. Now, if I start to reach that left foot back, reach the right knee forward, can I bring the center down towards the groin, towards the ground, and get a deep stretch through the IT bands, through the gluteals, piriformis. If you feel like you need more, I want you to walk your arms just a little further forward. Wherever you feel comfortable. So, stretching the hip, good. Stretching the knee, not so much. Now, I don't think it's as important how bent or how at 90 degrees the knee is. The main order of business when I'm teaching with you online is to be able to keep that knee safe. Feeling a stretch through the hip is fairly safe. Feeling a stretch through the knee, not so much. I can shimmy, in my case, my hips back and forth just a little bit. Left to right, side to side. I can bring my body up. Big in breath. And exhale. Let your spine start to fall. It's going to deepen that stretch down through the hips. Now, palms underneath the shoulders. I'm going to roll the left foot under. Get a good grip with that left foot. You're going to lift that right leg. Kick it up and over again. Hey. Feels much more open. I feel a little blood flow into that right leg. There's a little bit of an arterial tourniquet because of that pressure on the body through the femoral artery. I'm going to lower that guy down. Now, good balance on the hands. We're going to switch. Left leg, lift it up, move it around. Where's your length, your stretch, your tension? Hang out there for a second. And then just like the opposite side, you bring in the knee right in front of the hip, down and forward. You bring the right foot out. You can press both legs into the ground, hopefully to support yourself. If you need hands either side, you can allow yourself to fall in as deeply as you want. And I'm going to start to shimmy my hips just a little. Just to play with that motion. I feel comfortable enough, I think, to come down to my forearms here. So I'm going to bring myself down. And big in breath. Lift and lengthen the chest. Spine. And exhale. Fall down and forward. Good stretch. You can feel that a little bit through the IT band. Outside of the thigh, through the gluteals. If you need to back off, you can bring the arms in, right? You can lift the body higher. The more you bring your hands and arms in, it's going to take pressure off. Just depends on where you feel it. No harm, no foul. The main thing again is this left knee in this case. Don't want to hurt the knee. Not a lot of cushion around the knee. We're trying to open through the hips, open through the gluteals, large muscles all around the hips. Small muscles all around the knee. Don't want to compromise the knee. So from here, I'm going to roll that right foot under. I'm going to bring my palms underneath the shoulders. I'm going to get a good solid press into the mat. Go ahead and bring the body up. Kick that left leg out. And down dog again. Both feet down. Both hands down, hips width distance apart, generally on both, hips and shoulders. Now, what happens if I play? Bend the arms. Oh, what happens if you roll through, moving a hand? Playing with range of motion, playing with strength. Don't feel like you're stuck in the pose. What happens if you hold with a little bit of bent arms? Back and forth. And slowly come down to kneeling. Let's come to seated. And I just want to see for a second. We opened up the hips, opened up the legs, lengthened the spine, used the arms. I want to bring my feet in together, make my little butterfly wings. Let's see how I feel through the hips. At this moment, I'm really just feeling through my body to figure out where else I hold tension. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to work on next. What do I want to move into? What feels good to me? I feel pretty good through my upper back and neck at the moment. Feels nice to have opened up my hips, opened up my legs. I think I'm going to go back and we're going to reset the camera real quick. If you have a tennis ball, go ahead and grab that. I'd like to move into the next piece. And with the tennis ball, we're going to use that to work on our feet for a second. We did this in a previous class. I want to show it again. So you're going to use this guy to massage the bottom of your foot. I feel like my tarsals are spreading around the tennis ball. We're pressing into the plantar surface of the foot. I'm allowing those bones to very gently sort of slide open across joints, across muscles, across those joints, creating some open space there. If you find a very good spot, something you want to hang out in, just press. Lean in, you can hold. Breathe. Work through the bottom of the foot. Feel your way through. We don't get a lot of attention to our feet. They're usually just stuck in shoes. Feels really nice to massage the bottom of the foot and open it up. Now, I'm going to leave the tennis ball there. I want to go back into mountain pose. I want to feel the difference between my left and right foot now. So we've generally done left side, right side. We balanced left and right as we've gone through the practice. How does your right foot now feel compared to the left? If I had to choose, I want the rest of my body to feel like this right foot, meaning the muscle feels open, feels spacious, nothing feels jammed. And not that my left foot feels bad, it just doesn't feel as open as the right now. I'm going to switch feet. I'm going to move that into the left foot. You could do this with a lacrosse ball, a baseball, a golf ball. If you had to, you could fold a towel maybe over the golf ball so it wasn't quite so sharp. I like tennis balls as a good baseline. I feel like they've got enough give to give adequate pressure without being overwhelming. Just working through the bottom of that foot, trying to see where you feel tension, where you can address it, how you're going to deliver pressure. And then I want you to have a blanket nearby. I think I'm going to change it up in a second. We're going to work on a new area. Ooh, right there in my arch. That feels tender to me. If I roll just a little bit more lateral, feels like I'm catching a great spot on the plantar surface. If I want to move the toes and engage the foot, both shortening and lengthening that musculature, I can. Where is the spot you want to press on? Where is that? Find a good spot. Hang out. Ooh, right in there. Now I switched it up and put the ball pad of the foot down so I can lean in closer to the heel right there. Right into there. Delivering pressure into the bottoms of the feet. And push that out to the front of the mat. Mountain pose again. How do you feel? Parallel lines, second toe to heel. Much better, much more balanced. Nice. I'm going to bring myself down. I'm going to move my shamrock belt out of the way. I'm going to grab a blanket here, probably maybe a single layer, maybe a double layer. We'll see how this works. I'll have to try. So a lot of people have issues with their pecs. So your pec major attaches up and over the clavicle, down through the sternum. And this big muscle goes off towards the head of the humerus. This is what guys do bench press to build up their pec muscles, right? Then underneath that, if you feel on your shoulder here, you've got a bony knob just next to your clavicle. If you follow your collarbone over with 2 fingers, that middle finger is likely going to hit a little bony knob when you get to about here. That is the coracoid process. Coracoid is Greek for raven. It's like a raven's beak. So the coracoid process is actually connected to your shoulder blade. What's happening is pec minor inserts here has an origin, and then, or insertion, I get confused. I forget which one is which on this case, but goes down to, I think, the 3rd and 5th rib. These smaller muscles come down like this and then grab onto the rib cage. A lot of people will have tension here. To get started, what I want to do is I want to bring the tennis ball more towards my sternum. I'm going to use just palmar-based pressure here, right along my sternum. Ladies in particular, you guys have lots of tension through here, lots of tissue that feels very stuck between the breasts, right along the sternum. So you can use this, and for me, I feel a spot just about here. That's the most tender so far. What I want to do is, I want to be able to lay down on this tennis ball while also saving my head and neck. So I'm going to have to lay down on my chest. I'm going to bring this guy up, and I'm going to see if this is high or low enough. I want to be able to bring my chest down, press right on that spot. And in my case, I think that's a little too high. I'm going to bring this halfway. Ooh, right there. Okay. So I'm going to bring my arms down by the side. I can scoop my body up or down, depending on where I want to press. I'm below the clavicle. Oh. I can turn my head to the side if that works better. I can also, since it's on the left side, I can lift and move this left arm. I can move it up. Oh, right there. Okay. I'm going to put the palm down and try to let my elbow rest there. That feels very deep to me. I'm going to lift my head. See if it changes the pressure. What happens if I turn to the left? Get a little cavitation through my cervical spine because of that. You can press anywhere in the pecs here, anywhere into that tissue. Oh. And again, I can lift this arm if I want. I can bring it up. I can bring it out to the side. It depends on what I feel. It diminished. I'm going to slowly lift my body up, and I'm going to move that tennis ball just a little lateral out towards my left shoulder. I'm still well below the collarbone. I can feel there for where my collarbone is. Ooh, right there. Turn the head to the side. Going to bring the arm down by the side, see if it feels different to me, if I prefer one or the other. I think I still prefer up. I'm going to use this right hand to balance. I'm actually going to lift this shoulder to see if I can put, a little more pressure right into the left side of the pec. I'm getting referred pain down into my thumb and pointer finger. Just a referred sensation, kind of a dull ache. Feels like it's going through what I assume is the radial nerve. I can feel it deeply in the center of my palm, but just a little bit, in my case, towards the thumb side, not quite the center. Breathe. And using my back strength to go into a little bit of cobra to lift up. I'm going to move the tennis ball just a little bit more lateral. I'm going to see if that spot, ooh, yeah. I think that's one of the better ones so far. I'm going to bring my arm to the side. You can likely see where the tennis ball is right here. It's still below the collarbone. I'm going to move the arm to the side. Ooh, right there. Okay. See if I can rest there. If I want more pressure again, I can balance on this right hand and lift the body to turn my torso to stack on top of the tennis ball there. That's a good, Now when I lean in, I feel those ribs, and I start to feel this interesting sensation around my upper thoracic spine, underneath my shoulder blade at the very top, where people always say, oh, my upper back of my neck. But I think it's because I'm pressing on these ribs, and where the ribs insert around the sternum, they come back and around the rib cage and then up to that spot. So I'm likely accessing those nerves. Now, can I shimmy just a little back and forth? Ooh, that's tender. Ooh, tender. Ooh, tender, tender, tender. I'm going to, again, bring myself just a little bit into cobra. I'm going to move the tennis ball a little bit more lateral again, just below the collarbone, just below the clavicle. Where's the pressure? Is it higher? Is it lower? I had to go a little bit lower. It felt like more towards the coracoid process. I'm going to turn my head to the side because that feels comfortable. I can't take any more pressure at the moment, but I'm going to try to take a deep in breath. Of course, if you found this too sharp, you could just fold a towel over the tennis ball. Being able to keep my head on the blanket here gives a little bit of lift, so the pressure isn't quite as extreme. Now, what happens if I lift my arm? Right up here. Now, what happens if I turn the palm? Rotate the shoulder. Any change? Bring it down. Shoulder range of motion while we play with the pec. Right there. That little bit of dull sensation through my thenar eminence on my left hand and through the pointer finger and thumb, right in there. Now, a little bit of that cobra pose again. I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to sit up first. Just want to see how this feels. Wow. So this side just feels really, really open. Again, this side doesn't feel stuck, but now it just doesn't feel as mobile as this side does. We don't usually get a lot of sustained compression into the pecs, so I want to go ahead and switch sides. Go ahead and see if I can use the exact same setup, but now I'm going to move into the right. I'm going to take the tennis ball, try to figure out, do I feel it down below, or we almost hit like the xiphoid process at the base of the rib cage, right along the right side of the sternum. Now, I can press through any of this. Different spots along the sternum are going to have different amounts of tension. There's no judgment on where we feel it. Everybody's going to be a bit different. Where we are on the rib cage would change the angle and like vector of pressure that we deliver. And again, I get right up to the collarbone, right in here, and I start to feel a little bit more tension. I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to come forward and see if I can stack myself again to be able to deliver pressure, again, below the collarbone. You're not going to be able to see it on this side. Oh, very tender there. I'm going to lift the right arm and start to move it around. If I need to move my microphone, I will. I'll just lift that guy up, out to the side, and let it rest. Breathe. If I want more pressure, I can stack that left hand, bring it over. Right there. Such a sweet spot. A lot of people with upper back pain are having issues with their pec and pec minor, pulling the shoulder blades forward. This is something I educate my students about pretty consistently because I see it in 80% of the clients on any given day that we see. So I'm not going to apply any more pressure. I'm going to take the weight off. I want to lift that arm again. When I lift that guy up, I found a good spot right there. So I want to relax for a minute and see if I can hang out and breathe in that spot. Again, this time it's a little more broad in the center of my palm, but I'm getting more activity along the pointer finger and the thumb, along the radial nerve here. I'm going to lift the arm and bring it out to my side. And in this case, I'm going to lift my shoulder, roll the tennis ball just a little further laterally. I'm still well below the collarbone. I'm going to see if I can find another good spot. And yeah, right there. If I want more pressure, I can always use that left hand to stack that left shoulder blade a little more onto the right. I can turn my head to the side, be able to stack some body weight right into the tennis ball right there. Again, that interesting referred pain. This time it's starting to get a little bit to the middle finger and the ring finger as well. Very tender, exquisitely tender. Not painful, doesn't make me want to run away, but I couldn't deliver more pressure than this without having to tighten muscles. I'm going to slowly back off. I'm going to cobra myself to lift up. I'm going to move the tennis ball again, just a little bit more lateral. I can go higher, I can go lower. Where do you want to feel the pressure? What feels good to you? I kind of like where the tennis ball is right there. I'm going to find a spot for my right hand, and then I'm going to lift that left shoulder onto, right there. Kind of an interesting referred pain, like it starts to have a sensation that refers down, I think, towards my armpit. There's this little wrap down from where the tennis ball is pressing in, down towards my axillary region. Breathe. And if I feel like I want a little more pressure, what happens if I engage that right hand and lift it up and move it? I bumped into my microphone there. And yeah, I think down below feels better to me. I'm going to lift that left shoulder again, just a little more pressure. I move just a little bit more laterally. I felt like I wanted more pressure, a little bit more lateral, right in there. And taking pressure off, I'm going to engage that little bit of cobra, right? Just so I can lift the torso to bring that up. I want to bring myself up to seated. I'm going to see how that feels now that I've worked a little bit through both sides of the chest. This side all of a sudden feels just very pronounced and open. I have a tendency, because I have more pain on this left side, to work on the left side, but I'll often find myself surprised at how much tension I'll feel on this right side because it doesn't get as much TLC. Now I can press all through my pecs here. If I don't want to use my fingers, I can use the tennis ball again. I can go back into any of these spots and maintain some pressure. If you're putting pressure into the pec, you want to be able to feel like your head is stacked in a way that's not compromising your neck. You want to put yourself in a position where you can completely comfortably relax and breathe. And you want to be able to stimulate that area to send that signal into your nervous system to see if you can get those muscles to relax and let go. If you have a tennis ball, go ahead and put it aside. If you have a foam roll, go ahead and grab your foam roll. If you don't have a foam roll, you can take your blankets. You can actually double them up, or your towels. I want you to roll them up good and snug and tight into a solid roll. And we're going to use this as support for your neck. I like the foam roll because it's got a certain firmness that I think works better for this. So I'm going to grab the foam roll and check our cameras here, see where we are at. Yeah, go ahead and restart that guy. And you're going to put the foam roll at the base of your neck, right along the cervical spine. We're going to lay down on our back for a second. Right here. Going to come down. Oh. So now this foam roll is just like a big pillow. I'm now putting my chest in a position where it can just roll open. And I want to find almost like the entirety of that cervical curve. I'm not at the base of the neck. I'm not at the top of the neck. It's like my whole neck is just wrapped around the foam roll. I'm going to make sure I'm in the middle of my back here. Reposition however I need to lightly. It felt good to have my hands crossed. And I'm just going to roll side to side into the posterior cervical spine. So you've got trapezius. The upper portion of trapezius goes up along the back. Big, broad, huge muscle, right? But the top portion tapers as it goes down, or it goes up, I should say, right into the base of the skull at the occiput. The occiput is a bone at the base of the skull. And then if you roll just a little bit to the right, you're going to start to press very gently on the transverse processes through C1 and C4, which is where levator scapula at the top of the shoulder blade runs up and attaches right into the cervical spine at C1 to C4. And then reverse sides. So in addition to having that on both sides, at this top portion near the base of the skull, you got splenius capitis going and inserting base of the skull. Both sides, compare the left to the right. What feels tight, what feels tense. A lot of people with chronic headaches, they'll tell me they have migraines, tension headaches. They're having a lot of challenges with their neck muscles being in spasm, just working all the time. I want to roll my head back to center, and I want to lift the foam roll just a little higher, right at the base of my skull. I'm going to roll just a little bit left to right. There's a whole group of muscles called the suboccipitals, which I think insert on C1, maybe C2, go right to the occiput, right at the base of the skull, right in there. People who have problems with their suboccipitals will get this broad referred pain up through their temple. This like pretty solid band right up through into what we think of as the sphenoid, where the bone is, right up into the temples. Now what happens if I gently lift my chin or gently tuck my chin? What do you prefer? I'm just getting you to become aware of that area. Now I'm pretty dead center, right? Now what happens if I turn my head just a little bit to the right and I do the same thing? I'm going to look up, holy moly, and I'm going to tuck the chin down. Look up. And tuck the chin down. Going to switch sides, rolling to the left, kind of splenius capitis area. And again, I'm going to look up and slowly lower the head down. I'm feeling the movement of that foam roll as I lift and then tuck my chin. If you find a sweet spot that you want to hang out on, feel free. Don't feel stuck to doing just exactly what I'm doing. I'm just walking you through as a guide. Now, I found this interesting spot that I'm not getting a lot of referred sensation, but it just felt so dense, so tight. I'm like, hey, what's this? This is interesting right there. I'm going to use my left hand and hook it on the foam roll to be able to pull my body over to this left side and pull into that. Right there. If I want, I can pull the opposite direction by reaching over. I don't like this direction nearly as much. I want to pull towards it. Right there. Now, with the maintain of the pull, can I look up and kind of look down? Oh. I'm going to bring the head and neck back to center. I'm going to lift up. I'm going to pull the foam roller just a little bit closer to my upper back. I feel like I'm catching T1, T2 maybe, and definitely like C5 to C7, so that cervicothoracic junction in those vertebrae. And this little bit of bounce, this little bit of roll back and forth, they see me rolling, they behave in, right there. Now, do I want to turn a little bit to the right? And in my case, I brought my feet underneath so that I could stack my hips. I'm going to lift the hips gently and roll right through there. Oh yeah. Now I'm going to turn just a little bit to the left. Just massaging that area open. If I want to work on core strength, if I want to lift a leg, if I want to play with balance and twist it over, I can do any of this craziness. The main point of pressure is right in the neck. Now, if that's too much, what do? Oh, drop the hips down. Don't feel like you have to roll up and down aggressively. Now, I'm still at the base of my cervical spine, kind of C5 to C7. I feel like I'm hitting T1. I'm going to open the arms up because that felt nice. And then now I'm going to look up. Moves the foam roll down a little bit. Then I'm going to tuck my chin. Gonna lift my head and neck. Ooh. And again. Looking up. Rolling back and down. Now if I want some support, can I bring my hands behind the head? Sure. It's going to change the position a little bit of where I'm hitting on the foam roll, but it all depends on you and where you feel pressure. If I want more pressure back down, straight center, what I can do is my feet are down, I'm going to put pressure into the feet and I'm going to lift the hips. Now, the only 2 points of contact I have on the ground are at my feet and where I'm pressing into the foam roll. I can shimmy just a little bit side to side. I can start to move those vertebrae around. I'm going to open the arms out again. Now look up and tuck the chin. I like to look up a little bit. I'm going to look up about 3/4 of the way and hold that for a second. And then I'm going to gently shimmy up and down because that feels good to me. That feels intense without being painful. Now I'm going to drop my hips. I'm going to drop my arms. And I'm going to use that as a pillow to see if I can just relax those vertebrae over the foam roll. This is an area I have problems with because of that car accident I was in when I was 22. So I just continue to work on the tissue around that area. You strengthen the muscles, you lengthen the muscles, you maintain cervical mobility. You push blood through the area by exercising and using it. And also there's just a degree of maintenance. Let's say the ligaments were overstretched. We can't do much about that. But what can we do with the soft tissue? We can work on soft tissue. And that's primarily what we're doing. If I find this spot on this left side and I go, man, I want some more right there. What do? Put the feet down, stack the body weight. I can move the hands and arms. Oh, right there. If I want to you've had enough at that base of the cervical spine, top of the upper back, and you want to rest, I'm going to lift my head and just move the foam roll a little bit higher, more towards the base of the skull, just so I can rest here for a moment. I'm going to bring this right leg and let it cross the left knee. And I'm going to start to mobilize the hips a little bit. Now, this is going to change the pressure on our foam roll, but I'm trying to open the hips here. These feel pretty open from what we did earlier, but I admit I like this side more. I'm going to use this left hand to bring this knee. Yeah, I get like a good stretch through the gluteals right there. If I want to resist, I can hold with this foam roll, the right hand. And slowly back to center. You can readjust on the foam roll if I need to. You can cross the left leg now and roll to one side or the other. Back to the right, back to the left. What do you feel? Where's the tension at? I like this twist. I'm going to grab with the right hand and pull this knee up and over towards the right shoulder. Deep stretch through the gluteals. If I want some resistance, I can hold on to the foam roll there. And slowly, I'm going to bring my legs up so I can sit. Want to see how that feels for just a second. Moving the shoulders, head and neck around. Feels very long, very spacious in a way that it didn't before. My neck feels like it's an inch or two longer than when I started. I'm going to move this guy to the side for a moment. I want to check on my cameras and see where we're at, how much time we have left. Yeah. So let's go ahead and go into Shavasana. Go ahead and make it the end of class. I'm going to lay down on my back and I'm going to walk you through the alignment through the final pose. Go ahead and move your stuff out of the way, which in my case I've already moved to the side. I'm going to lay with my head back and down on the mat. I take that little bun out because I don't want that lift. I want to lift the head and neck up and away. I want to press the base of the skull down into the mat, and as I tuck my chin, making that little double chin, I'm going to roll the shoulder blade down, roll the other shoulder blade down a couple of times. Then I'm going to use the feet to lift the lumbar spine, tailbone, tuck it down and away. Feet are just a little bit wider than hips width distance apart. The palms fall open. And slowly. I want you to breathe through your nose and just scan your body for tension. Where do you feel tightness? Restriction of movement. You can hold your focus there and breathe. If something feels overly tight, gently squeeze the area. Actually use the muscles instead of just relax them. Just for a breath cycle or two, I want you to squeeze the muscles around that area. And on the exhale, let the muscles soften, relax, unwind. A Your goal is to let tension go, to relax, release. Tongue is gently at the roof of the mouth, and breathe through your nose. As you begin to wake up, you could wiggle with the fingers and toes. And slowly roll onto your right side and bring yourself up. You'll turn to the front, pull the flesh away from your bottom so you can sit comfortably. Those ischial tuberosities and make contact with the floor. Pointer finger and thumb will make contact. Back of the hand rests on the knees. Long spine. You can lean forwards and backwards. Where's neutral? What feels tallest for you? The least strain to sit tall. Palms prayer position at your chest. Big in-breath. And exhale. Squeeze your belly in. Bow forward. Mobilizing your spine. And namaste. Thank you guys again so much for class. I plan on doing these through Friday for the week. I don't plan on going anywhere. I don't think you guys are planning on going anywhere. So I'll see you. If you have any questions for me, feel free to write on my Facebook business page. That way I can give you whatever information you need, additionally on YouTube. So just let me know if you have any questions. I can cover that in a little bit more detail next class. I hope everybody in your family is safe. You guys be well, and I'll see you tomorrow.